Hi to all the lovely people, you all are once again most welcome to your very own channel, that is Tutorials Point. Well, in our day-to-day language, whenever we interact with people around, there definitely are words which end up confusing us. And the only idea of this video is to end that confusion. Well, one such pair of words is whose and whose. Well, both of them sound just the same, which is exactly why we end up getting confused whenever we use this word. Now, in our daily language, whose and whose is very commonly used, right? And while you read it or while you speak it out, it sounds similar. There is no difference in the pronunciation. Well, the real trouble comes in when you have to write it down. Now, what is this confusion and how can we eliminate it? Let us go ahead and learn in this video that what is the actual difference between whose and whose, because both of them sound just the same. The spelling is almost the same, not the same, but they sound just the same. Now, how do we eliminate this confusion and what is this confusion? Let's go ahead and learn about it so that we do not commit this error going forward whenever we use this word in our language. Okay, now let's first understand about whose, which is W-H-O-S-E. Now, whose actually is a word which basically is a possessive pronoun. Now, what is a possessive pronoun? A pronoun which actually tells about possession, right? So it is basically a word which is telling you about possession. That means whose car is that? Or if you look at different examples of what are possessive pronouns, for example, her, his, are. So all of these words are actually possessive pronouns, which means they tell you about somebody's possession. For example, his car, her bag, our house, or whose table is that, or whose bag is that, or whose chair is that. So all these words, his, her, our, whose, are actually possessive pronouns and they tell us about possession. So next time whenever you want to use whose, double quotes, W-H-O-S-E, you are going to use it to indicate possession. Now let's look at an example so that you are clear as to wherein you need to use whose and wherein its usage is actually correct. Whose car is this? Now here, whose car or whose is actually telling you about a possession, right? So because it is telling you about a possession, hence its usage here is correct. Whose notebook was stolen in the car? Again, it is telling you about possession. Because it is telling you about possession, hence W-H-O-S-E is the right word to be used. The child whose bicycle has been lost. So here again, it is telling you about possession, whose bicycle, or the girl whose bag is red, right? So again, this word whose, W-H-O-S-E, is used for possession. It is used to indicate possession. So do not confuse yourself whenever you use this word in a sentence, because it is purely and simply a pronoun which indicates possession. Let's go ahead and learn what is this different whose that I was talking about, that is W-H-O apostrophe S. Okay, now this whose, W-H-O apostrophe S, again, it sounds the same. The spelling is different, but what is this whose? Now, this whose basically is a contraction. Like we studied about W-H-O-S-E, which is actually a possession sort of a word. This is a contraction. What is a contraction? Well, contraction is a word which is formed by combination of two words, right? So, who is. So, whose, W-H-O apostrophe S is actually a contraction of this, who is. So who is, when you contract it and use it together, you actually use it as whose. That is why you use one word instead of two. So now I believe this confusion is completely clear, that whose, W-H-O apostrophe S, is a contraction, whereas W-H-O-S-E is a possessive pronoun. Now let's look at an example so that you are absolutely crystal clear about the usage and you will definitely not go ahead and get confused. who's driving that blue car? So who is driving that blue car? Or who's to be responsible? Who is to be responsible? So I hope now it's clear to you that basically whose, WHO apostrophe S, is used as a contraction of who is, and WHOSE, whose, is used as a possessive pronoun. Well, I'm sure this video would have cleared your confusion completely and fully, and now going forward, whenever you use this word or anybody uses this word around you, you will have no confusion whatsoever. Well, thank you so much for seeing this entire video. I'm sure it would have helped you a lot, and it will help others as well. I will see you again in the next video. Till that time, keep learning with tutorials, point and tutorics. Have a great day.